Cuando Elon Musk se pronuncia en contra de Donald Trump y desacredita una de sus leyes, sabes que la situación está mucho más grave de lo que parece. Elon Musk está totalmente dentro del culto MAGA. El culto MAGA es Make America Great Again y evidentemente es de Donald Trump. Así que para que Elon haya criticado al mismísimo Donald Trump, que es exactamente lo que vimos en una llamada filtrada en la que Elon dice cosas muy interesantes sobre Donald, demuestra la poca estabilidad de la actual administración de Donald Trump. Y esto también ocurre justo cuando Elon Musk está diciendo que se aleja un poco del gobierno, separándose también de Dodge porque dice que se sintió herido sentimentalmente. Hoy vamos a hablar de estas dos narrativas, pero antes de eso quería pedirte que si te gusta mi contenido, te agradecería que te suscribas al canal, ya que eso me ayuda mucho y aunque no lo creas, lo valoro como no tienes idea. Ahora, antes de hablar de la llamada filtrada a Elon Musk, en la que realmente traiciona a Donald Trump, quiero que escuchemos a este grupo que sorprendentemente arremetió contra Donald Trump, y es el medio propagandístico de Fox.
What do you think we're seeing here? I mean, there has been this volatility back and forth, and depending on who you talk to, markets seem to bake it in. They're waiting for something.
Well, there isn't much that's happening right now, Brett, that's going to give investors a peaceful, easy feeling about the state of the economy and therefore the state of the markets, which have been turbulent but mostly down now since the announcement of the tariffs, a month ago. And now the president is just calling for the departure of Fed Chairman Powell, who, whatever you think of him and whether you think interest rates should be lower, as the president certainly does, or whether you don't, that's another element of instability in the current financial outlook. And instability is something that markets do not like, and economies really don't either, because when people are uncertain about what the future lies, they're hesitant to invest and to hire and to do the things you need to have an economy go and grow, which is obviously what the president is seeking. So he may win in the end. But trade wars don't have a lot of history of working out very well for any party who's involved in it. So I think that's where the worry lies, now compounded by a fight with the Fed.
Yeah, just before we started this segment, in the commercial break, there was a statement put out by the U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer saying that they have essentially a framework of a trade negotiation process, laying the roadmap for negotiations with India, saying that this is now starting in earnest, a roadmap for those negotiations. We've heard that about Japan. We've heard other countries. Do you think one of those deals, should they get there, change the dynamic on the market and where we stand?
Well, I think if they get, one or two of those deals with countries like Japan and India, which are of some size and importance, I think might calm the markets. The concern, of course, is you've got China reaching out to trading partners, many of them the same as ours, and saying, don't you be making any deals that are against our interests with the United States. And the United States, in the meantime, of course, is saying, no, you want to work with us. We're the big enchilada here, and you can't afford to be without us. Now, there are a lot of people who think that the U.S. can win that kind of competition with China, but it is another element of uncertainty in the economic outlook. And, today, for example, Brett, China has cut Boeing off, and Boeing had outstanding orders for airplanes to be manufactured and shipped to China. Those things are, at least for the moment, at least, are stopped in their tracks. There's a cost to that. That will cut. If that stands, that will hurt jobs and growth in the United States. So these are the kinds of situations that people worry about when they see a trade war under.
El Wall Street Journal comenzó llamándolo la guerra comercial más tonta del mundo. ¿Y qué creen? Tenían toda la razón. Ahora están atacando por todos lados a Donald Trump y Fox ha recalcado lo que todo el mundo ya sabía. Que Donald Trump, como dijo Kamala Harris, crearía una recesión antes de que empiece el verano. Todo con su pésima idea de un plan económico perfecto. El caos que proviene de los aranceles, la caída de los mercados, tanto bursátiles como de valores. Es la razón por la que las empresas están dejando de invertir, están dejando de contratar y muchas personas simplemente no están creando empresas. Hay muchas personas que están perdiendo empleos ahora, que están al borde de la recesión, si no es que ya están dentro de la misma. ¿Y qué creen? Fox e Elon Musk también lo saben. Este último ha sido muy crítico con los aranceles de Donald Trump, aunque también ha sido un poco silencioso con sus críticas. Aunque se filtró una llamada en la que fue muy contundente con su opinión sobre las decisiones que ha tomado Donald Trump.
I just want to emphasize that the tariff decision is entirely up to the President of the United States. I will weigh in with my advice with the President, which he will listen to my advice, but then it's up to him, of course, to make his decision. I've been on the record many times as saying that I believe lower tariffs are generally a good idea. for prosperity. But this decision is fundamentally up to the elected representative of the people, being the President of the United States. So, I'll continue to advocate for lower tariffs rather than higher tariffs, but that's all I can do.
Incluso Elon Musk sabe que estos aranceles son terribles y que evidentemente están dañando la economía estadounidense. Y también creo que está culpando a los aranceles de que la gente no quiera comprar nada. Y cuando digo nada me refiero a sus autos. Hemos visto cómo Tesla ha caído un 71% en estos últimos 3 meses. A eso quiere decir que el precio de las acciones de Tesla ha caído un 71%. Elon Musk cometió uno de los mayores errores financieros de toda su vida. Y todo esto pasó justo después de involucrarse en el gobierno. Ya que todos sabemos que Elon Musk invirtió cientos de millones de dólares para que Donald Trump ganara la campaña presidencial. Y también es de buen saber que todos los temas de corrupción, actos ilícitos y el hecho de mandar en las sombras pertenece a Elon Musk. Pero lo interesante, más que el hecho de perder millones y millones de dólares, es que antes Elon Musk no es que sea la persona más querida del mundo, pero era bien recibido en la sociedad. Actualmente la gente odia mucho más a Elon Musk que incluso a Donald Trump. Y lo peor de todo es que él causó todo esto y ahora no puede echarse para atrás. Elon prácticamente se arruinó solito, o en otras palabras, escupió para arriba. Pero lo peor, comúnmente hablando, es que Elon Musk, aparte de arruinarse él mismo, también invirtió millones de dólares para que este personaje, Donald Trump, sea actualmente un presidente que esté dominando de la peor forma posible. Y de hecho, escuchen lo que dice Lawrence O'Donnell al respecto de esto.
In 1932, the unemployment rate in this country was 23.6%. Let me say that again. The unemployment rate in 1932 was 23.6%. We were at the depth of what came to be known as the Great Depression, the cruelest economic depression in American history. Starving children were going to bed hungry in this country in 1932. The suicide rate was skyrocketing. And today, the Trump stock market is on its way, according to the Wall Street Journal, to the, quote, worst April since 1932. Prior to the Donald Trump stock market, not a single economic indicator in this country has ever resembled anything in 1932 during the entire course of our lifetimes. But now Donald Trump has managed to bring the stock market back to 1932. The difference between 1932 and today is that in 1932, the only hope, and I mean the only hope that people had in this country came from the newly elected President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was working every day then to lead the country out of that depression, which is exactly what he did. Every president in our lifetimes has always known every minute of the day how to instantaneously crash the stock market. They've all known how to do it, and not one of them has chosen to do that until Donald Trump. Every president always knew that all he had to do to crash the stock market was to take a public swipe at the chair of the Federal Reserve, who has always been, no matter who it is, more popular with Wall Street than any president of the United States. So for better or worse, Wall Street always respects the Federal Reserve Chair much more than they respect the President of the United States. And now that respect gap is bigger than ever. And so Donald Trump decided that once again today, he would publicly attack Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, who was appointed to that job by Donald Trump in his first term, and then was reappointed by President Biden. That's right. President Biden reappointed Republican Jerome Powell, who was originally put into that position by Republican Donald Trump. And so the guy who says he always chooses the best people is now attacking one of his best people and crashing the stock market every single time that he does it. No president has ever been stupid enough to do that until Donald Trump. At 9:41 a.m., Donald Trump decided to go on social media and predict a recession, which no president has ever done. No president has ever predicted a recession during their term. So Donald Trump predicted a recession, and then he blamed it on the Federal Reserve chair, saying there can be a slowing of the economy, otherwise known as a recession, unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lowers interest rates, N-O-W, capital letters. Now, all those Trump voters who believed Donald Trump was going to make the American economy better all by himself, all of them thought that he was able to do that, and they never once on the campaign trail heard Donald Trump say he could only make the economy great if the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates. Never mentioned that on the campaign trail, but now Donald Trump says, the only I can fix it guy, I can't fix anything unless the chair of the Federal Reserve fixes it for me. That's what he's saying now. Speculation today then ran wild that Donald Trump would try to fire the chair of the Federal Reserve, which is against the law. CNBC's coverage of the market today once again turned dark.
This is what you get. I mean, somebody needs to turn to the camera and tell the president to stop. I mean, he is messing with the foundation of this country. He's messing with the foundation of the economy. He's messing with America's place in the global financial system.
It is against the law for the president to fire the chair of the Federal Reserve, and Jerome Powell has said under no circumstances would he quit if threatened by Donald Trump with firing. But having seen Donald Trump defy the law in other arenas, the stock market is worried to the point that the Wall Street Journal titled its editorial tonight, "The Fire Jerome Powell Market Rout." The Journal editorial says, markets fear Mr. Trump really might fire Mr. Powell, not that it would do the president any good.
Donald Trump fue elegido por el hecho de que él dijo que iba a reducir precios, y obviamente hizo otras campañas y propuso otras cosas. Pero cuando hablamos a gran escala de lo que realmente hizo que Donald Trump ganara la presidencia de Estados Unidos, es el hecho de que realmente dijo que iba a reducir precios. Pero ¿qué pasó? Donald Trump hizo totalmente lo contrario a eso. La gente está perdiendo sus empleos, sus casas, su atención médica, sus estudios, su comida. Donald Trump prácticamente está destruyendo la economía. Mientras los precios en muchos lugares siguen subiendo porque él no solo ha alterado la economía estadounidense, sino que la economía global. Recordemos que Estados Unidos es una potencia económica, o bueno, lo era, ya que actualmente la gente ni siquiera confía en la estabilidad económica de Estados Unidos, porque bueno, ni siquiera le pueden llamar a estabilidad a lo que tiene ahora Estados Unidos. Recordemos que actualmente tiene un presidente que actúa por lo que su ego le dice, y que la Reserva Federal, por otro lado, no es que no quiera ayudar, pero no sabe cómo ayudar, y la Reserva Federal únicamente lo que hace es decir, esperemos a ver qué pasa, a ver si ayudamos a la inflación o al desempleo. Si no entienden a lo que me refiero, es que en videos anteriores hablamos de cómo Jeremy Powell planea ayudar a Estados Unidos. ¿Y saben cómo quiere hacer esto? Si su respuesta es no, no se preocupen, porque Jeremy Powell tampoco sabe cómo hacerlo. De hecho, les recomendaría bastante que vean mi video anterior. Hablo muy en profundo de este tema. Espero que este video te haya gustado, te haya informado y me encantaría saber tu opinión en los comentarios. Recuerda únicamente no ser grosero. Si alguien opina diferente que tú en los comentarios, no pasa nada. Vivimos en un mundo donde hay tantas personas, que hay tantas opiniones, y eso es lo bonito de la vida. Recuerden que ni siquiera el fútbol sería divertido si todos apoyamos al mismo equipo. Únicamente lo que les pido es ser respetuosos, ya que he tenido varios comentarios que no me parecen nada correctos. Y por más que hablemos de cualquier tema, lo más importante es siempre mantener la calma, ya que ni ustedes ni yo somos los culpables de lo que realmente está pasando. Pero bueno, para acabar, recuerden que mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarlos todos los días. Además, si quieren seguir informándose de las últimas noticias estadounidenses, les recomiendo este video, que de hecho espero vernos ahí. Adiós.